When you see her byline, you know that the documents have been dumped from the private detectives, and they were going after the Koch brothers. And the DeSantis patriotic crowd were now conversant in Koch brothers, Koch suckers, Koch brothers, Koch suckers, everybody's a Koch sucker. 2 weeks before, none of these people, none of these animals knew who the Koch brothers were. Now you couldn't go to Whole Foods and say, "You're not one of them Koch suckers, are you?" Civility at play. Civility at play. They're monsters. They're freaks. I'm Margaret Mead. I know. There's a movie coming out that will show you all of this. You have to fight them. So I go to the Koch brothers event where they want to protest people who create the jobs in this country. We've got a problem here when the socialists, led by Van Jones and Robert Reich and Greenpeace and Code Pink and Common Cause, the usual suspects of misanthropic, anti-American, anti-capitalist, are protesting the job creators, and the mainstream media are the wind at their sails. So I said, I'm going down there, and this time I'm bringing my rollerblades. So I drove up with my buddy Brandon Darby, a former left-wing agitator, and he was going to start barking me, things off the sideline, because he knew who these people were. And I'm on my rollerblades trying to get them in their natural habitat, saying things that are intemperate, that are uncivil. It's not hard. It's not hard to do this. And so I was on rollerblades, and I got this guy's name too, but I won't remember it. But this guy was from Chicago, and this made the O'Reilly factor, this video. And he says, I was rollerblading through it as they're snarling, and they're looking like they're going to run through the Rancho Las Palmas Resort. And I'm rollerblading by, and he looks like he's from the 60s. He's probably like, 60-something, reliving, Berkeley and the free speech movement, which has evolved into the anti-free speech movement. I don't know how that happened. And he says, "We need to start a revolution," to my camera, to my little $150 flip camera. "We need to start a revolution." I said, "What do you mean by that, sir?" He says, "You know what I mean. A bloody revolution, like in Egypt." I was like, good. That's going to be good. That's going to be good. That's going to be good. Okay. And then I rollerbladed on. And I found out that my friend Christian Hartsock was there also. It's funny how Christian is in Palm Springs, and then I see him up in Wisconsin, where our video cameras caught the beloved sanctimonious teachers getting fake notes on camera by the university doctors, okay? And there were satellite trucks from the mainstream media, the Democrat media complex, and they didn't pick up those overt acts, but it was Christian and me and Ann Althouse, a blogger, who did, which caused that teacher walkout not to happen, because it would have instigated an Attorney General investigation into that nefarious act of trying to defraud the state of the taxpayers of the state of Wisconsin. So let's go back. That's yet another one. That's yet another one of these animals, and the media propping them up as sanctimonious and righteous. And so Christian Hartsock is even more mischievous than I am. He starts asking them some great questions. "What do you think we should do about Clarence Thomas?" he asked. The progressive tolerant left, stop the hate. Stop the hate. What they have to say? "We need to string him up. We need to send him back into the fields." That's your progressive tolerant left. That's who we're fighting. That's why I fight. That's why I come here. That's why I go to tea parties. That's why I support Herman Cain, because he was at the tea parties when it wasn't cool. It's why I support Rick Perry, because he was there when it wasn't cool, and everybody was being accused of being a racist, a sexist, a homophobe, a hater, a Timothy McVeigh in the making. And as the Democrat media complex was crafting a false narrative, an exact opposite narrative, they accuse us of that which they do to you. These were the people the Michelle Bachmans and the Sarah Palins who stood up. And I'm sorry to have to say this, and we have a year for them to redeem themselves. But there are many people within the Republican establishment who were happy to take photos with Nancy Pelosi on cap and trade issues the day that Barack Obama was elected to the presidency based upon internal polling within the, by the Republican Party's wonderful pollsters saying that this is the end of the Republican Party. You better make some keen relationships with your pals in Washington on the left side of the aisle on cap and trade, and global warming makes the kids feel pretty good inside. And so there are a lot of people running for the presidency on the right now who sat by, didn't have any solutions on what to do about a brand, the conservative movement, and a country that believed in freedom, liberty, and capitalism. These people were willing to make accommodations with the enemy. And so they have a year to make up. There's a place in this country for redemption, but they're going to have to work a lot harder than I've seen them work over the last 7 or 8 months, or since they've taken power. We're talking trillions of dollars in deficits that are going to make not just our grandchildren, but my children, Samson, Mia, Charlie, and Will, in the poorhouse, and they will not be living in the freest country in the world if we don't fight back harder, and if we don't treat the animals out there, not just on the streets, not just out there on the highways, but the animals in the mainstream media that would allow for libels and slanders to be manufactured against us, and protecting those that are doing this type of violence and this type of agitation. We have to fight back. It is a war. It's a cultural war. And if we lose it, we lose this country. And that's why I came here on my son's 9th birthday. Thank you very much.